becoming a writer, I listened to the stories that my grandparents and parents told. And when they were children, they believed in all sorts of magical and scary creatures. And I think that defined them as persons. For example, when I was a child, I had an encounter in the woods with a family of gnomes. And it really happened, and it was so astonishing and scary, but also it awakened something inside me. The feeling that you have when something magical enters the reality that you know and changes it forever. So as a writer, I've been trying to recreate that feeling, and this delicate process led to Hominarius. First of all, it takes the perfect setting, which is for us central Italy, Abruzzo, under the mountains and the woods and the waters of the Maiella National Park. This is where Lucio lives, in an ancient small town. Lucio is almost 40, and he looks rather sad and weird and alone. He is good at heart, but has something that torments him. Every full moon, he loses control over his body and mind, and what he does, the way he behaves, is something that he cannot remember at all in the morning. To take care of him, there's Pietro. Pietro is a 6-year-old man who doesn't talk much, and his intimidating charisma comes from the experience that he has by treating with what the people call werewolves, which aren't exactly people who turn into big hairy monsters. It's just people who have severe crises that turn their human side into an animal. So what Pietro does is that he takes Lucio at every full moon and represses him physically by putting him inside a cage and chaining him up until dawn. This is the reason why Pietro and Lucio have been living together for over 20 years. But then Lucio meets Amina. She's a bold Egyptian girl coming from out of town with a research about werewolves she's been leading all her life. She's so excited because she's never had the chance to prove that her method really works, so she tells Lucio about it. She believes that by retrieving those buried memories that Lucio loses every morning after a full moon, he may be able to restore the balance between the human and the animal, and thus become a new perfect creature. On the other hand, Lucio is very eager to free himself from this condition and gather a normal life as a human person. So they start experimenting together without Pietro knowing, but they only have time until the next full moon. That is when the town will celebrate the famous Serpari festival, an ancient and traditional way that the people of the Maiella have to thank God for delivering us from evil.
At the end of our story, Lucio finally accepts himself as the new creature, the Lupus Hominarius, and how to manage it. And maybe walks away with Amina in a kind of happy ending. I'm Federico Lagna, I'm the director of Hominarius, and in almost all my previous works, I've always been interested in exploring the dark half of the human beings, and the beasts or the demons that everybody, some more, some more less, has hiding in themselves. So when Giulio came to me and told me about this story, I say, wow, it's a very powerful, visual and original way also to tell and exploring this theme again. I know very well how Lucio feels at the beginning of this movie. He wants to hide himself from the rest of the world. He's thin, he has sharp teeth and dirty and broken nails because of the crisis he has during the full moon. And he wants to hide from the rest of the world. And the way in which Pietro tried to repress Lucio, both psychological and physical way, and the way in which Amina tries to help him to manage the beast inside of him, I think that these things are the real heart of Hominarius and the thing that scares us.
As a producer, since the first time I read Hominarius' story, I was fascinated by the challenge of making this ambitious movie with the tool of micro-budget. Federico and I run our film company since 2008. This year is our 10th anniversary together. Since his first feature film, a micro-budget horror movie, of course. We already have the full hospitality covered as in kind, and the full logistical and technical support from that area. As a matter of fact, all the things that seems too hard to get are already there, ready for us to shoot. Giulio mentioned before of Serpari Festival, that is an actual religious meeting in which people cover themselves and San Dominic status by snakes, real snakes. Hominarius has its roots in Abruzzo, a region rich of history, medieval towns, nature, even magic, a land where people still believe that werewolves exist. Thank you.